When compiling your dissertation or putting together information for a future publication, there are times that you will need to obtain copyright permission to use material from other sources within your own work. Now, this typically includes things like figures, tables, images, questionnaires, a series of questions from an interview, but anything that you find in another's work that you wish to use in your own, you will need to check the copyright and see if you need to obtain permission to use it. So first, look for the copyright status. You can look for copyright, the word itself, or the symbol, which is a C within a circle. The types of copyright include a Creative Commons license. It could be in the public domain. It could be just a standard copyright, or it's possible that no copyright information will be included. Now, if this happens, APA 7th edition recommends that you still treat the work as a copyrighted work and just assume that the author is the one that holds the copyright. Now, typically you can find this information within a book right after the publisher's information and within the first couple of pages. On a journal's website, check the footer. It's typically incorporated there, or you can look on their About the Journal page to see if they have certain licensing terms. In an article, you can also check the footer, and a lot of times you will be able to find the copyright information there. Now, it is important to note that there's a difference between permission and copyright attribution. This is an example of copyright attribution, and this is required for anything that you incorporate into your work that you got from another source. The copyright attribution includes essentially the information that you would include in the reference section, although it's formatted a bit differently, and the words copyright, the year of copyright, and who holds the copyright. Now, the permission would come after the copyright attribution, and it would look something like so, reprinted with permission. Note that you can only write this if you have permission granted and it's in writing. So how do you obtain this permission? So first you have to identify the publisher or the individual that owns the copyright. And then if it is a publisher that owns it, check their website. So a lot of times you can request permission through their website. If you cannot find a way to request through their website, you can send them an email. So an example of an email that you could send to request permission would be, "Dear," insert the information, "I am writing to request permission to adapt or reprint." So if you were going to adapt, that means that you are not including it in your work in the exact way that the original author did. So potentially you're only incorporating a portion of a table. If you're reprinting, that means that you are inserting it into your work in the exact same way that the original author did. The table, figure, image, etc. from the work, the title of the article that was published in, indicate the year, the volume of, journal name, and on the specific page. This table, figure, image will be used in my dissertation to indicate the overall purpose. I will ensure proper copyright attribution and indication of permission in my dissertation. Please let me know if this permission is granted. Thank you for your time, followed by your name. So filled out, it could look something like so. "Dear Editor-in-Chief of YJAR, I am writing to request permission to reprint the table from the work Circular Economy and the Future Potential that was published in 2017 in Volume 3 of the Westcliff University Journal of Applied Research on page 13. This table will be used in my dissertation to indicate the potential impact of a circular economy in the United States. I include the exact same information as in my template and then my full name." Now, this is an example of a journal, so TESOL Quarterly, that has a permissions page. So here they walk you through how to request permission, and they use a specific type of form through RightsLink. Now, you can see here, complete the request form and submit payment. So do note that there are journals or publishers that will require payment for you to reproduce material in your work. Now, to format the copyright attribution and the permission statement, if necessary, you will include the following information: from, if you are reprinting, or adapted from, if you have adapted it in some capacity. The reference information in the copyright attribution format, and then copyright followed by the year, followed by the holder of the copyright. If permission was granted, you will incorporate that as well. So let's look at this a little bit more in depth. Here we start with adapted from. The title of the article, each main word is capitalized and it's in double quotation marks. By, author's information, and note that this is different from the references page. So on the references page, we typically write last name of the author and then followed by the initials. Here, it's flipped. So the initials come first, followed by the author's last name. Year of publication, journal name, volume, followed by the issue number, and then page number. Also here, this is a difference. In the references page, we never write P, followed by the page number, but in giving copyright attribution, P followed by the specific page number. The DOI link is within parentheses, and then we have copyright, year, who holds the copyright. Lastly, permission statement. Now this will vary dependent upon the type of permission you were given. So you can either write adapted with permission, reprinted with permission in the public domain, or insert the Creative Commons license. So with Creative Commons, there are 6 different types of licenses, and it's generally represented by the circle and CC in the middle. You can type in types of Creative Commons licenses, and it should take you here, and you can look through what the license means and if you can use it. You can see here BY, so credit must be given to the creator, and typically each of them include that. They can only be used for non-commercial purposes, and your research is a non-commercial purpose. And you can also see if they will allow you to adapt it in any capacity or not. If it's in the public domain, you will want to find the publication date. Typically, if it's out there for 95 years, it becomes automatically absorbed into the public domain. But what you can do is check the catalog of copyright entries to verify this information. So you can look up what's actually still copyrighted or if it's within the public domain. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of each of these types. You can see here, this one I started with from because I reprinted it, reprinted with permission. This would change if it was adapted. So I would write adapted from, adapted with permission. Here's an example of how I would incorporate this if I did not need permission. And here in the public domain, this is how it would look if it was a Creative Commons license that I'm indicating. If you need any further information, please check the APA 7th edition manual. All of this information is included in depth from pages 384 to 391.